WDET's holiday fundraiser starts December 2nd, and our first goal is simple: to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who supported us during a tough year for public media. Our second goal: to welcome 250 new members. People who listen, love Detroit Public Radio, but haven't yet joined Team DET. If that's you, now it's time to step up for the station you count on. Go to WDET.org/give and become a member today.
On WDET-FM, I'm Tia Graham. Now, movies are a window into a different world. It can take us from our lived reality and submerge us into the point of view of other people or at a time that may be different from our own. But if the mainstream lens through which stories are told only focuses on a handful of perspectives, how do we uplift and nurture the stories from communities that have often been left out? Detroit Narrative Agency is a local organization that makes it a point to highlight compelling storytelling from Black and Indigenous people and people of color. Through its Emerging Filmmaker Fellowship, Detroit Narrative Agency selects 4 filmmakers to receive mentorship, funding, professional development workshops, and networking opportunities to support the creation of a short film. In Sequence, a premiere showcase of the Detroit Narrative Agency 2024-25 Fellowship films, is happening at Senate Theater. The event is free and open to the public this Friday, November 21st. Ashley Calhoun is Executive Director of Detroit Narrative Filmmaker Fellowship, and Lindsay Robillard is a volunteer with Senate Theater. Ashley and Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us on The Metro.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Of course. Ashley, we're starting with you. Let's talk about the upcoming event at Senate Theater. What's happening this week?
Yeah, so Detroit Narrative Agency, we are all about uplifting Detroit stories and disrupting harmful narratives. So our 4 fellows this year, I'm going to say their names.
Please.
Okay. We have Ifayomi Christine, Costa Carzella Sardinis, Chris and Pac Sutton, and Jope Russell. They are wonderful, wonderful filmmakers and directors. They have each written, produced, created these wonderful pieces that we're going to be showing and introducing to the public Friday, tomorrow, with Senate Theater. I just want to share a little bit about the films really quickly.
No, I was going to say we definitely going to get into the films. I do want to, because I want folks to understand exactly what the fellowship is. These filmmakers, these 4 filmmakers that were selected, not only are supported with mentorship and workshops and networking, but they're financially supported. And that's a huge component because a lot of filmmakers need the money to do this work. So if you can, just talk a little bit more about the Emerging Filmmaker Fellowship and why it's so important.
Right. So yes, if you're a filmmaker or you make any kind of art, you know that finding the funds and the resources is sometimes the hardest part. So what we do is we work with both local and national funders. We work with Ford Foundation, Kresge. We're partnered with Allied Media Projects, and we make sure that our fellows not only receive a production budget that they can use towards editing, creation. It's around $25,000, which is a good amount.
It's a lot, yeah.
But we also provide them a stipend on top of that. And so that's just to help, because we know, like, not only do you need resources to create the project, but it also, you need time. And sometimes when you are a working artist and you're emerging, you have that job. And a lot of our fellows, they have gigs, they are working artists. And so we value the time that they are giving to the project, and we value the time and energy that it takes to create this. So we also make sure that they are receiving a stipend on top of that. And what I will say is, for our next iteration, we are hoping to expand it so that we have for directing fellows as well as for producing fellows.
Oh.
So that we can also create the same kind of program where we are giving in-depth workshops, mentorship, not just to directors, but also to the producers. Because again, if you are in film and you know their producers are working, and we know that Detroit has such amazing artists and such amazing stories, and we don't want our talent to feel that they have to leave in order to find those resources and to create the stories that they want. So we are all about making sure that people can grow and be nurtured here. And of course, if you want to go, you go. But come back. Remember home. But we don't want that to be a necessity. We want that to be something that is more organic. And so, yeah.
Yes. No, that you answered it beautifully, Ashley. And, I was talking with our executive producer, Dave, about that. And we were just talking about like Detroit. We would love it to be known for a place where people say, hey, I want to pursue film, so let's go to Detroit. Or I want to pursue this, so let's go to Detroit. So those are things that I know so many people within the industry, arts and culture and film as well, are just interested in making sure this is a hub where people can stay, but then also come to and leave if they wanted to, but make sure that it's something that works for everyone. But Ashley, Lindsay, we're going to bring you into the conversation because the Senate Theater is a place for local talent to create and showcase their work. What excites you about this space, especially being able to promote local filmmakers?
Yeah, so the Senate Theater is a 1926 neighborhood movie house. So we are quickly approaching our 100. Yes, next year. Save the date, October 7th.
Wow.
But yeah, so, we've evolved into a repertory theater from being a theater organ club. So we have the Fisher Theater's original Wurlitzer. And so it's been, this little rinky-dink neighborhood house is still standing because people who fell in love with movie music and instruments built to accompany movies were having organ concerts for 50 plus years.
Wild.
And so we've done a lot of repertory film, like we're playing Scrooged for Christmas. And, but we know from folks coming to us asking, hey, is there a way my short film can get played? Like, it's so clear that there is a lot of independent film nationally and locally that are getting made and people just want their art to be seen. And so that's why I was really thrilled when Paige reached out and said, hey, we're looking for a venue for our filmmaker showcase. And I was like, amazing. Because we also have like 750 seats. Oh. So, you don't want to like make your art seen, but there's only 20 people there. It could be a little underwhelming. So it is going to be packed tomorrow with local film and art champions. And I'm so excited.
And I love that there's a space like that within the city of Detroit that allows for filmmakers and just local producers of things and content in general have a space to go. That's really, really amazing. But you're listening to The Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. We're talking about Detroit Narrative Agency's Emerging Filmmakers Showcase is happening at Senate Theater tomorrow. Our guests are Ashley Calhoun, Interim Executive Director of Detroit Narrative Filmmaker Fellowship, and Lindsay Robillard is a volunteer at the Senate Theater. Now, Ashley, bringing you back into this conversation, we're going to get to the films because I know one of the films was one that I've been really, really interested in for a while now. So we're going to get to those films. However, talking about just the overall film industry here in the city of Detroit, right now we're seeing the city itself starting to do things with Film Detroit. We're starting to see other little local pop-ups happening. What are you seeing right now in terms of storytelling, filmmaking, producing, the whole 9 yards in terms of filmmaking in Detroit?
Yeah. So organization is Detroit Narrative Agency, and the Filmmaker Fellowship is one of the programs underneath it. And with that, we have a few other programs, and we have been working with Film Detroit. And yes,
I love that. Yeah.
For us, Detroit Narrative Agency is really about building and supporting the media making ecosystem here in Detroit. And one of the main things we see with that is, first, there's connection, right? We are working to make sure that people are truly connected with each other, and there's community. We are working to start a series of programs in the new year. It's going to be called Real Connections, and where we sort of highlight different community projects, but also bring together different pockets of the industry. So, for instance, hey, do you do color correction? Are you great at editing? Like, we're going to do things connecting folks who are doing that and trying to figure out a way to do some skill share, kind of building with that. But then also letting folks know, hey, at this time, at this date, people are going to be here who know this skill, who want to work on projects, who have their own projects. And we see that as sort of that real foundation of just knowing that you're not alone, and that also there are resources and people here that are willing to support you. The other, I would say, going up that sort of ladder, is we are supporters of some sort of incentive when it comes to the film industry. I think you can't ignore that we have to bring resources in. And right now, DNA, we are working with, a lot of nonprofit sectors, a lot of nonprofit funders. But we also recognize that folks who are doing this work, they work with companies, right? They are working in the industry. And so that means for us that we support the industry in a way that is ethical and equitable. So we also have this sort of framework, a legal framework, to make sure that people who are working on films are actually getting an equitable share of those films, and making sure that as the industry comes in, because they're coming, that folks here are not getting the short end of the stick. That it's not we're just coming, we're going to take your resources, we're going to take your talent, we're going to take, but more of a no, we're here to build community. And also, I just wanted to say too, I was so happy to work with Senate, because there is something to, I do believe that screenings happen everywhere. People get connected to films everywhere, but there is something about being in a theater and seeing your work in a theater, and seeing a work in a theater that is about you and of your community, that just does something. It reminds you that you and your story are important. It reminds you that the institution, right, the quote unquote institution of film, and what is important enough to be seen, includes you.
And Lindsay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, yeah.
Oh, you're like, yep, right on. Just listening to you, Ashley, and talking about those stories, and seeing those stories on the big screen in your local neighborhood, in your community, by filmmakers who are from your local neighborhood or from your community. Oftentimes, and one of the things that you all stand for with DNA, Detroit Narrative Agency, is making sure that Detroit's story is being told through the lens of those who understand it, who understand Metro Detroit, who understand what's happening culturally, socially, whatever it may be. Talk about the importance of making sure that you all are facilitating and supporting that type of storytelling, because I know that's one thing that you all really do aim to do.
Yeah, so we do have a community workshop series that we do every year. This past year, it included screenwriting, production, and I believe directing. Oh, no, my mind is going. Sorry.
No, you're okay.
But yeah, so every year we have these workshops for folks who are like, hey, I want to either know more about this specific part of filmmaking, or I've always wanted to tell my story. I have a story I want to tell. I'm not sure how it gets started. And this is open to anyone. You do not have to have any experience. We do have a small application, but that's really just to make sure it's for you, like to make sure you're of Detroit, that this is a resource that you truly want to use. It's really limited, so we just want to make sure that you're like, oh yeah, I do. I really want to do this screenwriting workshop with this amazing person who is in the industry. And so that for us is one of our biggest community offerings. They're usually 2-day, about 5-6 hour long workshops where they're generative as well. Like, you are coming and you are going to create something and you're going to leave with something. So that's, yeah.
I love that, Ashley. And Lindsay, bringing you back in, because the Senate is committed to building community. That's just what it's made on. So what do you hear from your members about screenings for films that they're not familiar with but were created locally? Is there an appetite for film discovery right now?
I think so. It's it's interesting. Like I said, we've primarily done repertory, and we know that there's I know some people who come every year to the Detroit International Festival of Animation that we host. And we partnered with Motor City Street Dance Academy across the street because they were having a cypher weekend, and they had, B-boys and B-girls from all over the country coming in, and they had a couple of them made a really little short film in New York. And so we did a little screening of it, and it was 20 people. And I was like, I know you come every year to DIFA. And we've had conversations with filmmakers and say, what can we do? And we're still trying to figure it out. Like you said, we're community run. So, what movies do we play at the Senate? That's us as a collective. That is the people slinging the popcorn, which is honestly, selling popcorn is the number one thing that buy a bag of popcorn, come pop some popcorn. That's how we keep our doors open.
Yeah, we are looking for volunteers. Yes. If you're interested, send an email to dna@alliedmedia.org if you want to volunteer for tomorrow.
Oh, see, we're looking for volunteers and for both Senate as well as Detroit Narrative Agency. But before I let you both go, because I do want to talk about those films that are going to be showcased. One of them I said I was interested in was by Chris Impact Sutton. I saw him a few months ago talking about it, and I said, I have to know I have to know more about it. So please tell us about the lineup of films that people can see tomorrow at Senate Theater.
I had a suspicion it was that one. So Chris Impact Sutton, his film is titled Heaven in Detroit. So after the unexpected loss of his mother, a young househead searches for his own sense of paradise and purpose on the last night of Detroit's iconic LGBT plus sanctuary, Club Heaven. And I just have to say, Club Heaven was a real place,
yes,
everyone.
Yes,
there are people who remember going to Club Heaven, and every time I shared Chris's film with them, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And there's music in it? There has to be music in it. Yes. There is music in it. It's Househeads, please. Other film by Job Russell, To Move and My Mother's Prayers. A rebellious non-binary teenager wrestles with their hardworking single mom over joining the Legacy League, which is an elite organization for high school girls. Very unique story, especially when it comes to Black elitism and how do we wrestle with individuality and legacy. Costa Casellas-Sardenas' film is one of my personal favorites after seeing it. So after the sudden loss of his mother from cancer, a Palestinian-American artist recalls and reaffirms his mother's life from Palestine to Detroit. Minidi exists to reflect the family's extensive material archive of his mom and of his mother and the memory that exists of her within the realms of grieving. I have never met Costa's mother, and yet after seeing that film, I feel like I am grieving.
We have about 30 seconds to get to the
last
film.
one, Ikayomi, beautiful, artistic. Another one dealing with grief and the wisdom of the ancestors to guide into a living practice of joy, ritual, memory, and connection. So please come.
Tomorrow at Senate Theater, you can check out all of the films that you just heard. It's called In Sequence, a premiere showcase of the Detroit Narrative Agency 2024-2025 Fellowship films. Once again, happening at Senate Theater. The event is free and open to the public this Friday, November 21st. They are looking for volunteers. Ashley Calhoun is Interim Executive Director of Detroit Narrative Filmmaker Fellowship, and Lindsay Robillard is a volunteer at the Senate Theater. Thank you both so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you both back to talk more about film in Detroit.
We
Thank
love it.
you.
Thank you.
Coming up, we'll continue our conversation about films and learn how a new initiative by the city aims to support local filmmakers. You all stay right there. We'll be right back. This is The Metro.